What's going on, everybody? This is Bronco Juggalo, and today I am doing a driving vlog. I haven't done any different places lately, and I wanted to do some different locations. So I'm driving in my wife's truck, and so yeah, I'm going to do my Slashback Saturday review from my wife's truck while I drive to the store. This is also a Wild Eye review. Now, today's Slashback Saturday challenge is Wacky Weapons. And I was going to review Mountaintop Massacre. And you say, well, what's so wacky about that? She uses a sickle. She might use a sickle, but there's also a point where she uses a rattlesnake to kill somebody in what is probably the slowest kill in slasher history. But even though I did really enjoy that, I also needed to do a Wild Eye review. So after I did that, I watched my current video that I'm doing now. And I watched this film from Wild Eye called Acid Bath. Now, this is a 2006 slasher that came out through Wild Eye in 2015. It was directed by Lou Garcia and Annette Rodriguez, and stars Matt Urson as our killer. Now, this is a shot-on-video slasher, where for the most part the slasher uses a cleaver, and then he takes the bodies of his victims to his home where he burns their bodies in acid. Now you're wondering, well, why are you doing this for Wacky Weapons Day? Well, I'm going to get to that here in a minute. So let me just run through the synopsis real quick. We have a psychotic killer going around killing off all hookers and drug dealers in his city. The local underlord, he teams up with a bounty hunter and with all of the hookers of the area to try and find and catch and stop this psycho who's causing him so much destruction and causing his business to lose money. Now, this movie had a quasi-low budget for a shot-on-video film. It had a $20,000 budget, which is pretty damn good if you ask me. I do wish that they would have spent a little more and got a better camera on $20,000. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought that this movie was actually pretty decent for what it is. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a blast to watch. And this movie actually has a 5.2 rating on IMDb, which, as you know, most of these, shot-on-video, low-budget films get very low ratings. Now, of course, it has its detractors. People that have reviewed it thought it was crap. And once again, I want to say those are probably people, after reading their reviews, that don't really watch a lot of independent horror. I bet you there are mainstream horror fans that picked up this movie because it looked cool, and they were disappointed because it wasn't, a big Hollywood blockbuster. Well, that's okay. You know how we are, and we like this kind of shit. Starting with the cons, I really only have one con for the film, and it's that during the Spanish-speaking parts, and there are quite a few Spanish-speaking parts, there are no subtitles. But I do know enough Spanish to get by. I got the general gist of what they were saying. Now then, I'm going to get into my pros, and during these pros, we're going to get into why this is a wacky weapon movie. One of my first pros in this is I love the integration of the old school pork footage. You know those kind of like old PSA movies they did, or like programs they did back in the 50s and 60s about where your meat comes from and things like that? Well, they had one of those for pork that they integrated into this that I really thought was funny. And I thought it was really well done. And speaking of funny, I love the humor in this movie. There's this great line where one of the henchmen is standing around. He happens to be a British guy. And he's like, why do the Americans always cast Brits as their bad guys in all their movies? And he starts naming off all these people. And he's like, all of them, bad guys. Name me one good guy. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, of course, James Bond. But he was thinking, the guy next to him was thinking Peter Cushing. But I just thought that was a very funny exchange. I thought it was made the movie very self-aware. They knew what they were going for here. They weren't going for an Oscar-winning film. Now, with that being said, said, I do want to say that I absolutely love, one of my biggest pros is I love the ambition of this film. You can tell that these guys wanted a great film. They were limited by experience. They were limited by the tools that they had, but they did a really good job with this movie. It was just a fun time all the way through, and it was very ambitious. The practical effects were phenomenal. They looked great. The CGI effects, not so much. The CGI effects kind of sucked, but also the CGI effects are a pro of mine as well, because they were so bad and so cheesy, they fit the movie perfectly. It just really made me laugh, and I had a great time watching them. You know, for once, I enjoyed the crappy CGI in a film because it just seemed to be perfect for this movie. And I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. Now, with that being said, with the effects, practical and CGI being married here, we're going to get into why this is a wacky weapon movie. Well, like I said, the killer uses a meat cleaver most of the time and acid bathing to dispose of the body. And I was hoping the acid bath might be the weapon, but it's not. It's what he does afterwards. But the wacky weapon is that he actually uses a bazooka during this to kill people. And I think that's great. I thought it was awesome. And honestly, in a way, in the third act, it kind of changes from a horror movie into an action and martial arts movie. The guy is also a martial artist. He's got nunchucks. He's got all kinds of stuff. And we find out who the killer is. And it's kind of a big revelation because he's somebody you thought was a good guy. But that's what makes it a wacky weapons movie. He uses bazooka, which was really well done, I think, even though it looked kind of crappy, but it was well done for their budget. They made a bazooka. They made a prop that looked like a bazooka, and then they shot bottle rockets out of it to make the look of the bullet. And then they used CGI to blow it up. And in the bloopers at the end, which is another big pro for me, the blooper reel at the end, it shows them like shooting the rocket off out of the bazooka and it coming back and almost hitting the guy. He's like trying to dodge it. And it was just really funny. Guys, overall, this is a really fun hidden gem, I think, from Wild Eye. This is a movie that if you do just give it the once over, you're not going to be into it. But if you take the time to sit down and watch it, it's actually a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys joining me on this driving vlog. And I hope you guys are having a great Slashback Saturday. Check out everybody else doing Slashback Saturday. Check out the Horror Mob. Check out my new merch store at Teespring. I think you're going to like what you guys see there. And also, Joe the Horror Man, the creator of the challenge. My name is Bronco Jello. Peace.
Somebody should have told you I'm the wrong one. All fun and games until you see me with the shotgun. Homie, I'm the wrong one.